I am now entering the Padilla home.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you? All right, we're going to leave the door open so we can have a lot of sunshine.
Margarita de Nicochea.
Right, and here is grandfather.
Padilla de Nicochea.
Now he is your great grandfather, right? No, or your grandfather?
My grandfather.
Grandfather.
His great grandfather.
Dario Padilla. And grandmother, unfortunately, is at Conchita's house, okay?
Okay.
That's my older sister's daughter.
Alrighty.
So grandmother is over there. This is a clock that belonged to my aunts in Guadalajara. They gave it to me personally. And it is one of the heirlooms of the family. I came with it from Guadalajara. And then this table, not this one, but this one, was hand carved and part of the furniture that was in this house. Willie has the 2 chairs and the sofa, but that's what it is, okay? Then we go in here into the living room, and that's the mantle, and that beautiful clock and the 2 candles are part of the family. Willie gave those to me, and you can see Mother way up there. And then over there,
How old is she there, do you know?
I would say she's in her late 20s. Beautiful, beautiful. If you want to do a close-up on her.
I have her.
And I have another, and then over in that corner, it's on my father's side. That was his mother, and then his father.
And her name is?
And her name was Daniel. And his name was Luciano. And they were from Los Altos, from Guadalajara. Mother was from the city. Mother was from, and then over there, to your right, is my mother's grandmother. Oh, and I will tell you a little bit about my mother's history. And that was her grandmother.
On her mother's side?
On my mother's side.
Okay.
And she raised Mother till she died, of course,
Okay.
she died earlier in life.
Okay.
Her only child.
Okay, this, I had it on pause, I'm sorry. This is your
name-
mother's mother, and her
Right.
name is?
Concepcion, Conchita, the same as my mother's.
Ah,
Concepcion.
so she was named after her mother.
She died about 4 days after birth.
Oh,
And
daughter Diana.
here below are my mother and my father. My mother and my father. Come on, statue, get out of the way.
Grandmother had blue eyes, didn't
Right,
she?
and this is the same,
Right.
they're
Photo.
paintings, actually, they're paintings. And this is the same one, and of course this is the one that's at Conchita's house,
Right.
that one. There were copies at Willie's house. But his father's name was Antonio, and he went back to Spain because, he left the baby in the hands of the grandmother and the grandfather. And the grandfather lived till about, Ruben was born, so was Peter, and so was Concha. So when her grandfather died, she had the 3 children already. But it was a very sad life for her because she had no father or mother. So I always felt that my mother, had this sadness in her of not having a mother and father. And then we go over here. They call this Virgen, La Virgen del Socorro. I didn't know about that name till about a couple of years ago. But she was in Tlaquepaque, which is where my aunts lived, on my father's side. She was not ever with my mother's side. It was on my father's side. And she always said, when I die, I want it to remain in the family. So Peter brought it when the last of the aunts died. They never married. They were 2 ladies. And so Peter brought it with a different frame, of course, and he put it in a different frame, and I've had it since. And then we go into the patio. And in the patio, this Virgen was on my mother's side.
Right.
Always there, always with my mother.
Is it a painting?
No, it's a print, but it just shines so beautifully. And I think that's why nobody's ever entered this house. And if they enter, they see her and they run out. I mean, to steal.
Right.
I'm talking about stealing.
Right.
And so then this, of course, is the fountain. And we don't want the teddy bear there right now.
Does the fountain work for the plumbing?
It worked at one time. Water would come out of here, and somehow, I don't know what happened, that the main key, Mother used to put the key in here and turn the faucet on. And I had a plumber come, because this is removable.
Oh,
I
I
had a
see.
plumber come, and there is no fountain there anymore. There is no thing. And to install one, they have to go under the house and hot at the age of 3.
What did she die of?
She died overnight of her closing of her, what do they call it? What do they?
Sis?
Croup,
Infant-
like
oh,
croup, you know?
Now, where in line, where was she? What number?
She was after
Where's
my
the-
sister Concha.
Okay,
It
so
was Ruben, Concha, and then Carmelita, and then another Alicia Aurora. But Alicia Aurora died right after birth.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, Alicia Aurora died of chicken pox that my mother had, and she passed it on to the child when she died.
Oh,
So, but she was a terrible tragedy because at that time the machine guns, not machine guns, I'm sorry, they didn't have machine guns in those days. And this one, and this
when they
one.
bought the house, some of the paintings were here, or they brought them?
Well, Peter, you know, as I said before, when Willie left this house, a lot of them were taken out and by Concha, by Peter, by you name it. But
Who these people are?
yes, this is Mother right here,
Right.
right here. And then
Conchita.
this is my dad.
Looks just like Carlos. Don't you think? That's
Oh, yes. So much so. Then, of course, these are all friends, but it's just such a beautiful romantic.
And that is in Guadalajara?
Uh-huh. Guadalajara.
Y yo fui a la casa del Paque cuando estaba allí.
Peter sold me this, and I've always thought it was good. Yeah.
All right.
That's
Ruben,
Fui a la casa del
Padilla.
Paque cuando yo...
was that Grandma's?
The piano is here.
Was that the one Grandma always played?
Yes.
Really? I thought it was brown.
No, it was Mother and Willie. Willie were the only, Willie picked up on Mother.
And it,
It's Mother.
right. Conchita.
Uh-huh.
Qué bonita.
Muy chula.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should just stay with what.
What?
What I have,
Yeah.
right?
And so all of these little things are now mine, things that I have. And I'd like to give you a picture of this because, see, it has Mother and Dad. Those are the
Oh, I'd
copies.
love to have that.
Those are the copies, pictures. You'd be here all month. Unless you want to. If you want to, I'll be happy to do that for you.
Oh, I'd love some.
Huh?
I've never seen
Some
my father's mother.
okay. Picture.
This is
Ernest. A little Conchita. And then Concha, my sister.
Mm-hmm.
My mother, my father, Willie, Aunt Lou, your mother, your father, Oscar, and Titi. And then I'm down below. No, okay, this is Peter. This is Aida, Fernando's niece who lived with us. This is Tina who died. And then
Yvonne.
Yvonne.
Then right there.
And then is Peter and Gordy, my son. And this Peter John. And Pelon, and
Michael.
and in my arms is Bobby.
Good show, little Bobby. No.
You're right, Margaret is holding Bobby. That's Titi. Fernando, pues a un lado.
Sí, ahí lo veo. Ajá, I got him.
Okay, focus.
Fernando.
Now this is a good picture to take because that's what Mother, Ruben, Dad, Conchita, and Peter.
Okay, this one's Peter.
Mhm.
That was Mom. Wow.
This home is now a museum in Guadalajara. It's a beautiful museum. It's called the Portillo Museum.
Right.
I mean, he just came from well-to-do families in Los Altos.
Okay.
Los Altos is, they're known for, you know, people that were the aristocrats. As a matter of fact, they never let
Distinguished.
Indians go
Very
into Los Altos.
distinguished.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is she was from old family Guadalajara, and he was from old family of Los Altos. My great-grandfather, mother's grandfather, my mother's grandfather, Don Pedro Magallanes.
Don Pedro Magallanes. And the dog's name?
The dog, I'm sorry to say, I do not know. Okay. And this is Petra Lopez de Magallanes,
His wife.
which was, of course, my mother's grandmother.
Ella también tenía ojos azules.
This is
Let
my
me-
mother. This is my
Let me see
mother.
this real fast. Pedro. Okay, the name. Sí, pero para ver los escritos. Okay. Oh, wow. Qué joven. Qué guapa.
Pues la abuelita.
If she was born in 1887, that would make her 5 from 7 is 2. She was very young. Padilla Gutierrez,
I wonder how old she was when she got married.
about 21, 22. Antonio Colón y Benito, maternal.
Didn't your mother's family go back to...
She never saw him again. He died. He was coming for her, which would have broken the great-grandfather's heart because he adored his granddaughter. And so I guess he must have prayed to the right people because he never got to take her back to Spain.
That's what I was going to say.
Traveled from Sevilla. He traveled from Sevilla into Guadalajara. He was a traveling salesman.
And
It
that's
was
how
very
they-
common in those days.
Oh, okay.
And so, and you've got to remember that from Spain to Mexico, it would take like 5 months on a boat.
Oh,
So
right.
it was not very easy in those days just to come and go for him to be visiting her. And so
But her roots come from Spain.
her roots on her father's.
Now, isn't she not related to Colón, which is Columbus, right?
Well, yes, Colón. It's with an M at the end, by the way. Colón.
Colón.
Everything is Colón.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It is not Colón. It
Colón,
is Colón.
which is Columbus, right? Pero Columbus era italiano.
Era portugués, dicen, pero la cosa es que todas las raíces de todos modos van a dar allá, porque pues
Sí.
es un apellido que...
I got all mixed up.
And here, okay, here is her mother.
That's the picture we have.
Y lo interesante es que Magellan was an explorer, and so is Colón. So she was born of 2 explorers, last names, Magellan and Columbus.
Qué bonito.
And this letter that I asked my Tío Pedro, which was a cousin of my mother's, to give me the history of the family, he does give it to me. And sadly enough, he describes, you know, the fact that he was coming to get her. And of course, he died in Veracruz. And Nicky went to Veracruz and just recently got the death certificate.
Oh, I wonder.
Oh, come on. Is that a movie?
Yes.
You're kidding.
No.
I got no self-conscious.
No.
No.
Never.
In the break. See, I'm going to be 83, but you're as young as you feel. See?
Okay. I guess we'll just go to the Catholic Church and find out, no? There must be records.
But they have the records of that long.
Surely.
I don't want to put some.
Let me turn the...
You said Mima was one.
Look,
means is they're supposed to be sure that you follow the path of Jesus. That you're not stray from that, you know. But,
Straight, no.
but you're not stray from it. Because there's going to be a lot of temptations out in this world.
amen. This is a room that your mommy used to come over here, and I'll show you the house where we used to live. They would make it for me.
This is taken from a magazine called The Valley Grower, and the date on it is 1995. It's a March-April issue, and it's called The Padilla Home, and it features beautiful pictures of the home. And then as you turn the page, it features the interior of the home. They thought it was important enough to do it, and it's got the architectural aspects. It's the Padilla home. It's going to take a long time.
Just read fast.
Doesn't matter? Okay. A house becomes a home only when it has been lived in the requisite number of years, then the Padilla home in Calexico certainly qualifies. Mr. and Mrs. Fernando de Necochea have lived here for nearly 25 years, but the familiar white plaster and red tile residence with its inviting courtyards, porte cochere, and ambling walkways, in parentheses, there's even an aviary in the back, has been one of the city's grand old homes for most of this century, and people still call it the Padilla home in Calexico. Built in 1922 for Mexican consul Fernando Villaseñor, the landmark property at the corner of 5th and Mary Streets was purchased by Darío and Concepción Padilla in 1931. The Padillas had 7 children, 4 boys and 3 girls, all of whom attended Calexico schools. Middle brother Peter says that successive generations of Padilla offspring have been either enrolling or graduating from Calexico High School for 50 years. Margaret Padilla de Necochea and husband Fernando have lived since 1971 in what was once her childhood home, and they have seen their own children grow up in the same house. Today, the home's formal entrance looks from the street as it must have in the roaring 20s. The well-tended lawns, the whitewashed house, and massive red slab of a porch, all gleaming in the dissipating sunlight of a cloudy afternoon. Inside are the human and cultural artifacts of an earliest time. Images of the Madonna, many of them antique, are displayed throughout the main living area. All of the rooms are situated around a kind of central parlor, which contains a beautiful tile fountain and a statue of Venus in repose. Heirlooms abound, while old and new family photos representing a span of at least 120 years line the mantel over the fireplace and most other flat surfaces in the living and dining rooms. Shelves and cabinet spaces are similarly adorned. It is a place of memories, a repository for the collective hopes and dreams of many distinct lifetimes, as expressed in one extended family, the Padillas of Calexico, and in the very special house they call home. This is written by Vic Sheehan. You turn the page, and then it'll show the fountain, and it'll show the living room, and it'll show the mantel, and it'll show the entry room, the dining room, a bedroom, and a Madonna that has been in the family for years. And I will read what it says below. It says, top left, a tile fountain graces the central parlor and gives this cool retreat a kind of the hacienda middle left. The middle left. The dining room takes a traditional turn with its built-in china cupboard and magnificent Persian rug. Of course. Left, religious images are a recurrent motive in the Padilla home, as are family portraits and antiques. Above, the classic 4-post bed. Middle right, the smartly appointed foyer provides guests with a gracious welcome. Top right, heirlooms and memories line the mantelpiece.
Got it. I'm gonna go shoot it too tonight.
All right.
Okay. Wait, what was Granddaddy's?
Well, when we first got to Calexico, we lived on Paul and Al Juarez in one of those trips.
In Juarez?
In Ciudad Juarez, he passed.
Was he in a home, do you know?
No, he was in a hotel,
Oh.
and they had to rush him to the hospital, and he never even got to the bed. He died.
And
So-
you know what? Did they diagnose what he was?
He had a problem with the alcohol. And he could not drink. That's kind of interesting to know, because although he had a wholesale liquor store,
Right.
he couldn't drink.
Yeah.
If he drank, that was very bad news. And so if he would drink maybe every 5, 10 years, it was always a tragedy for him. So he had just celebrated in Mexico City with some of the nieces, of his brother, because he had 2 sisters that never married and a brother that married and has a very large family now living in Mexico City. So, and we got acquainted with all of them. They're a wonderful family, wonderful family. And it became very sentimental with them, remembering old times and everything. And then when he went to Ciudad Juarez, that's when he became very ill. But even though they were wonderful parents, just beautiful, wonderful parents, we have, such memories of love and respect. And we never had liquor in this house. Never had liquor, never had a beer in this house.
Wow.
Never. It was always like, mother sending for a bottle of wine if it was her birthday or something like that, because it was just always, we just never had any strong words or anything like that. And mother was a very sad story, because if I go into mother, I'll really have you crying.
Oh, I want to hear it.
Mother was born from a wealthy family. She lived in Guadalajara. My dad was from Los Altos de Jalisco, and mother was from the Guadalajara itself. And she was raised by her great-grandfather, who was what you call now head of the Internal Revenue in those days. Jefe de Hacienda, they call it. So sadly, when her mother, which was my grandmother, passed away when mother was born, she was only 21. And I'll show you pictures later on. And maybe I should be saying that as we look at her.
Shall we? That's a good idea.
All right.
And what I'm going to do, I'm going to get La Sagrada, ¿qué? A ver, la página otra vez, la Sagrada
Biblia.
Biblia.
Okay. Yo no sé lo que dice, pero a ver si puedes poner esto aquí. Muy estimado Señor mío, de todo corazón. Esto viene de, quién sabe, Martus. He was a bishop, an archbishop of Mexico, and he wrote this to my grandfather. There's the archbishop, I think it is. Now in here, baptismo, baptized paper, Darío Padilla y Concepción Colón. So this is
Okay.